That's basically what happens if you were to fail a physical fitness test. What's up, friends? Welcome to the not so 2-minute Tuesday version of this what happens if you fail a physical fitness test video. So if you're curious for a little bit longer version of this kind of explanation and you didn't like the speedy 2-minute version I gave you, then here's another version where I kind of take my time and maybe explain a few extra things that are in there. So a little bit of a recap: if you fail a physical fitness test, then this is what they're going to do: is they're going to place you on remedial PT. This means you're going to be doing physical fitness twice a day. You're going to have to do it in the morning with everybody else, but then additionally you're going to have to do it with that group of individuals who have also maybe failed that physical fitness test or didn't meet weight and tape, and it's going to be led by a non-commissioned officer, probably a different one each day, and that person is going to be leading you through another PT session. So you have to do physical fitness twice a day. And this is to get you into shape, to whip you into shape, to hopefully be able to pass a physical fitness test. So I've seen times where they've given like individuals multiple chances, where someone just was pretty much failing a PT test pretty much like I think 4, 5, 6 times it seemed like. And if that individual seemed like they were at least trying, if they were making some improvements, then usually they'd be kind of lenient with that person. But I've also seen sometimes where the leadership maybe was really strict on it, where no, after about like the 3rd time, if they still couldn't pass the PT test, then they started the chapter paperwork to kick that person out of the Army for failing a physical fitness test. So it really just depends on the leadership. Sometimes, to be honest, there's just some leadership that don't want to have to deal with, having to chapter someone out of the Army, because it's a lengthy process of having to go through a lot of things that they have to do to try to kick this person out of the Army. Sometimes they would just rather, say, screw it, I don't want to deal with this, and I'll just have this person just stay on remedial PT for whoever knows how long, until hopefully one day they'll pass this PT test. And then there's some leaderships that are like, no, we're putting my foot down, and if this person can't pass it after the 2nd, 3rd attempt, or whatever it might be, then we're going to start the chapter paperwork and we're going to go through this process and kick them out of the Army. So it really just depends. I mean, you don't want to be, in that situation. It would suck, you have to do PT twice a day. In my early Army days, I had it happen like once where I failed like the push-ups one time, and then I think it was like after about, I think maybe a month, maybe less than a month of doing remedial PT, I was given another PT test and I passed it that time. And I don't think I ever remember another time in my Army career where I had to be on remedial PT because failing a PT test. I think that was pretty much the only time. Was kind of very young in my Army days where I was still fairly new. So it's not a situation you want to be in, and you don't want to take the chances of having a really strict leadership where they're like, no, after the 2nd time, we're going to kick them out of the Army. I mean, you don't even want to fail a PT test once. I mean, that's the goal, is to pass it every time. But sometimes things happen, right? Sometimes you just, been slacking. Maybe you got a little bit injured and didn't want to report it to be on, profile PT. So they came around to PT test time and you just weren't in good enough shape because of this injury, whatever the case might have been. But you will get those opportunities to do remedial PT, to work towards, that goal of being able to pass that PT test, to get, improvements in there and all that kind of stuff. I've had the cases too where I was the NCO leading remedial PT, and there's just some of those individuals I remember doing it, that remedial PT with, that, were really out of shape because they're overweight, and they also couldn't pass the PT test, but the unit would give them, multiple chances, to try to pass it and everything. And I think there was, in some cases, I think they gave them like a lot and still didn't kick them out of the Army. Because like I said, sometimes they don't want to deal with the paperwork of having to chapter someone out of the Army. So like I said, the goal is to pass the PT test, but if you were in a situation where you failed it, you're gonna have to do PT twice a day and then eventually retake the PT test and hopefully pass it. Otherwise, they could possibly kick you out of the Army. So just kind of be aware of that. Like I said, work hard. Don't slack when you're doing PT. Don't hesitate to bring it up to somebody if you're a little injured and you can't perform very well in PT, to allow yourself to be able to pass a PT test or whatever the case might be. But that's a little bit of a rundown basically of what happens if you were to fail a physical fitness test. If you enjoyed this little not so 2-minute Tuesday, make sure you hit that like button, leave me some comments down below and tell me what you think, and give me your questions if you got any. Thanks for watching. I'm ThatChrisChaos. See you next time. See ya.